Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Anytime Books with Jonathan the Juggler. Today I have one of my favorites. It's about one of my biggest heroes ever, Philippe Petit. Yes, indeed, a famous tightrope walker. I have had the good fortune to meet him, and a gentleman and a scholar he was. He could not have been nicer to me. With that, let's hop to it. It's called The Man Who Walked Between the Towers by Mordicai Gerstein. Great justice was done to Philippe Petit with this story. Let's hop to it. Once there were two towers side by side. They were each a quarter of a mile high, 1,340 feet. The tallest buildings in New York City. A young man saw them rise into the sky. He was a street performer. He rode a unicycle. He juggled balls and fiery torches. But most of all, he loved to walk and dance on a rope he tied between the trees. He looked at the towers, but he thought about the space between them. What a wonderful place to stretch a rope, a wire on which to walk. Once the idea came to him, he knew he had to do it. If he saw three balls, he had to juggle. If he saw two towers, he had to walk. That's how he was. Hadn't he danced on a wire between the steeples of Notre Dame Cathedral, above his amazed home city of Paris? Why not here between the towers? Of course, he knew that, as in Paris, the police and owners of the towers would never allow it. You must be crazy, they would say. You'd fall for sure. And so Philippe, that was his name, began a plan to do it secretly. The buildings are not quite finished, he thought. Maybe if I dressed as a construction worker. Early on an August evening, he and a friend entered the South Tower. They got a 440-pound reel of steel and other equipment into the elevator. Took it to the unfinished top 10 floors and waited till night fell when everyone had gone. Then they carried everything up 180 stairs to the roof. At midnight on the other tower's roof, two more friends tied a thin, strong line to an arrow and shot it across to Philippe, 140 feet away. It missed and landed on a ledge 15 feet below the roof. Bad luck, thought Philippe. His friends pulled the cable over to their tower, but it was so heavy that it slipped from Philippe's grip. The cable's middle plummeted toward the strip, pulling the friends on the other tower to the very edge. It took 3 hours to pull the cable back up. Frantically, as the stars faded, they tightened it between the towers. It was past dawn before they were ready. Philippe put on his black shirt and tights. He picked up his 28-foot bouncing pole. All his life, he had worked to be here. He wanted to do this. As the rising sun lit up the towers, out he stepped onto the wire. Out to the very middle he walked, as if he were walking on the air itself. Many winds whirled up from between the towers, and he swayed with them. He could feel the towers breathing. He was not afraid. He felt alone and happy and absolutely free. A woman coming from the subway might have been the first to see him. Look! Someone walking on a wire between the towers. Everyone stopped and looked up. They gasped and stared. It was astonishing. It was terrifying and beautiful. A quarter of a mile in the sky. Someone was dancing. Police saw it too. Officers rushed to the roof of the towers. "You're under arrest!" they shouted through bullhorns. Philippe turned and walked the other way. For almost an hour, back and forth, he walked, danced, ran, and knelt in a salute upon the wire. He even lay down to rest. The city and harbor spread beneath him. The sky surrounded him. Seagulls flew under and over. As long as he stayed on the wire, he was free. When he felt completely satisfied, he walked back to the roof and held his wrists out for the handcuffs. They brought him to court. The judge sentenced him to perform in the park for the children of the city. This he did happily, though during the performance, some boys playing on his wire jerked it, and Philippe fell, but caught himself. Now, the towers are gone. But in memory, as if imprinted on the sky, the towers are still there. And part of that memory is the joyful morning, August 7th, 1974, when Philippe Petit walked between them in the air. Friends, I think that is one of the greatest stories of all time. I sincerely hope you enjoyed this book. There's a couple of movies, one a documentary called Man on Wire about what he did, another a recreation of sorts called The Walk. I highly suggest this book and those two movies so you can find all the fine details about what Philippe Petit did that day. Thank you so much for joining me. I think I'm going to read this again real soon. Signing off, my friends.